Hey friends, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. This is Gina. I am so thrilled to be with you today to go over the new and improved lineup of rotating car seats from Evenflo. So I clearly have a very strong interest in the rotational car seats, and when I made my video before, the Evenflo was the one that people seemed to be most interested in and had the most questions about. So we're excited to go over these today with you to show you what they have that's new and improved for 2023 moving into 2024. So without further ado, I present the Revolve360 Extend. That's this guy right here. This one over here on the furthest part is the Revolve360 Extend with sensor safe. And then this guy in the middle here is the Revolve360 Slim. So these are all new seats from Evenflo, and really excited about the new features that they're going to offer versus the old one I showed in the last video, which is just the Revolve. So if you're looking online now and you're noticing that Revolve is for sale or it's for a really strong discount, it's probably because it is the older model, which has a lower weight and height limit, specifically in the rear-facing mode. So why does that matter? One of the things, and I am going to do an updated revolving car seat video, so you can visit that probably within the next week or so. The thing that really made Evenflo a nice option was that it was a 360, so it'll spin completely 360 degrees. The other thing was the mechanism to actually make it spin is considerably easier to use than products, some of them which are even like $200 or $300 more. Another nice feature is that once it's tethered, there isn't any messing around with the tether to have the seat rotate, which is great. But the biggest thing is that now these seats will hold a child that is 50 pounds in rear-facing mode instead of 40 pounds, so that's 10 additional pounds. But the greater gain, in my opinion, is that they take a taller standing height for rotating in rear-facing mode. So this one would be 48 inches. The one over there on the end is going to be 48 inches. And I'm pretty sure this guy is also 48 inches when your child is in rear-facing mode. So most of the 360 seats on the market have a cutoff between 40 and 44 inches for when the seat is in rear-facing mode. So if you want to utilize the seat to do extended rear-facing, which is absolutely best practice, which is what most technicians would encourage you to do, this family of seats that you're looking at is going to enable best practice for the longest duration of time. That's a huge gold star for this brand. It's actually pretty amazing. And then in addition, each one of these seats has a 10-year expiration date, which is pretty unbelievable. And they also, 10-year expiration date, they hold 50 pounds rear facing. They do the tall kids rear facing. These two on the end are rear, forward, and booster. And this guy here is rear and forward, but it is slender. So they are trying to really cover every possible base, and I do think that they do it quite well. So let's dive into the differences between them after we've talked about the exciting features. Also, price points. This guy right here, the Slim, this is $350. The Revolve360 Extend, the regular one, is going to be $399, and the all black gorgeous one over on the very end is going to be $429, and that is the one with sensor safe. So you have your least expensive, a little bit more, and then most expensive on the end there, but all still very, very reasonably priced. Now, with these seats, if I pull out the Slim here to show, they're going to have the ability to rotate, which is really awesome. And as you see, it is a 360-degree rotation quite easily. The other thing that's nice, this one theoretically has 15 adjustable positions. The bigger benefit here, specifically I think about somebody like my mom or my stepmom, would be if you have one seat and you have grandchildren of different ages riding in your car, depending on age and size, you're going to be able to adjust this to the correct orientation and the correct size without having to mess with any part of the seat. So it is a no rethread harness on all of them. You're going to be able to adjust that harness height by adjusting the headpiece up and down. And as I said, the orientation will obviously change on the age of the child. In California, it's rear facing till 2. We'd encourage you to leave them rear facing as long as possible. And like I said, on any of these seats, you're going to have a rear facing weight limit of 50 pounds. So, and then the 48 standing inches, so for a long body. Now, the other part about this conversation that's important is as far as long body goes, the 360 ones that they offer that also have booster seat have one of the longest seated torso heights out of any car seat that I've ever dealt with. I measured it in at 20 inches from butt to the top of the shoulder. That is awesome. A typical rear to forward convertible car seat is going to be 17 inches. And then on your ones that are all-in-ones from 2 brands that I can think of, like Nuna and Britex, those are going to be within the 18 to 19.5 inch range. So here we're at probably like the tallest seated torso height on a convertible seat that I've seen, all in one seat. And then for their convertible seat, which just means backward to forward, this guy clocked in at 18 inches from the butt to the top of the shoulder. So that is awesome. You're going to get a really nice long duration of use out of the seat because it holds a bigger body. So again, that's the whole argument that I would make with this style of seat. It's that it's great that it rotates. It's important to understand that that type of feature should help encourage caregivers to utilize best practice for the longest, and they're going to enable you to do that. They all come with cup holders. They all should be removable and washable, which it looks like they are. I just figured out how to do this one, which was pretty exciting. There's a button on the side, and then these ones twist out and pop out for cleaning, which is great. Something that was cool about these 2 models here, the ones that don't have the sensor safe, they do have a zip easy clean fabric. So I'm going to be able to zip that off and take that out and be able to wash that and then zip it back on, which is really cool. The sensor safe guy over here doesn't have the zip fabric, but it does have the sensor safe on the chest clip, which I'll get into at the end. So that's going to be cool. The other thing with these seats that are a little different than the other rotating seats that are on the market is that they're removable from the base. So when you buy the seat, it includes a base in the purchase price, and there are, let's actually go the other direction. There are little arrows on the seat, which when they line up, you can remove, and then you have the base exposed. Now, for the slender one, because the seat is less than 17 inches wide, I think it's 16.7 inches wide. I did a whole series on narrow car seats. I will obviously revisit that now that I have this new offering. I also have another one, so there will be another narrow car seat video coming out quite shortly from me. But the base is going to be different if you do the narrow seat versus the wider 3-in-1 seat that's rear, forward, and booster. So, why does this matter? It really doesn't. These are included with the purchase price of the seat, and as far as I'm aware, they don't sell bases separately, so it's not like you're going to need to be worried about purchasing an extra matching base for someone else's car. I believe the intention with that from them would be to just go ahead and purchase the entire seat, because I don't think these are sold separately. You'll obviously do the top tether. You run your belt through. They have one of the best locking mechanisms. I'm going to unbuckle the seat before I undo it. Clear up the tension. But there's a clear belt guide of where the seat belt should go, which just passes through. Buckles, tightens with a little bit of force with, pulling, and then you close the belt lock. Woo, I've got mine real tight in here. There we go. Makes a nice clear noise, which indicates that it's in there tightly. So once the top tether is done and you run that through, you're pretty much installed. You'll take the seat, you'll line up the arrows. So again, there's a little arrow on here. I'm not sure if the camera can see that. There's arrows on the base. There's actually 2 different spots where it can sort of lock in. Once you feel it drop down, seat will then go where it needs to. The other thing with these guys is that when they're in recline, when they're in rear facing, you can adjust the recline. So there's a squeeze handle on the back of the seat, which is awesome because it's very accessible. And that's going to enable you to have the seat be at a more upright or a more reclined position. Now, why does this matter? I occasionally run into people that are of the opinion that if they have a car that has a small space, that if they get a seat that is rotational and then it's in its most upright, they'll be able to spin it around and it won't bump into as much. The problem here is that this only will rotate when it's in its most reclined mode. So as far as nose to tail, all of the rotational seats take up more space in a car than a traditional convertible seat, because you typically have an anti-rebound plate like you do with these guys, plus the seat itself is going to have space to be able to make that turn. So while this one is slender, meaning it's only less than 17 inches wide, you would still need enough room next to it for clearance for it to spin. So that is something to keep in mind when you're making this type of decision. If you were to jump up $50 in price, you're going to get 2 more inches of seated torso height, which is actually a pretty awesome gain for the price. It's kind of amazing. And then you also get the option of being able to utilize it as a booster seat for later on. So if you have an older child and you want to keep them in this seat, the whole harness tucks into the side wings. There's places for everything to go. And then you use it as a booster, I believe, up to 57 standing inches and a weight limit that tops out at 120 pounds. So that's pretty big. You know, they also say for the booster, the top of the child's ear are below the booster seat headrest, and they would need to be at a minimum of 4 years old. We would encourage much later than that. So for $50 more, we're getting still the zipper, longer seated torso height, rear facing to 50, forward facing to 65. Here again, narrower, here a little wider. And to that point, interior seat dimension of this guy is going to be 10 1/4. I measured. This guy, the interior seat dimension is going to be 12. So you're at almost 2 inches wider interior seat space for little hips. So that is something to consider between these 2 models. If we bump up to the bad boy over here on the end, the reason why this one, honestly, I'm not even going to lie, the biggest reason why I was into this model was that I preferred the all black versus the black and gray. They do make the solid black only in the sensor safe version, so if you want, in my opinion, the coolest looking one, you do have to spend the most money. But sensor safe is pretty neat. I was looking at the instruction book regarding it. Years ago, sensor safe wasn't something that I really appreciated because it was still very, very new and it was kind of fumbly. Seems like they've really been able to streamline it. There's an app that connects with your phone. It works when this is buckled. It has features like telling you the temperature of the car, warning you if it's too hot or if it's too cold. It warns you if you leave and the child is left in the seat. So there's different information that it sends to your phone. You are able to turn that off if you're not into it, but that's going to be the big spend with sensor safe for the extra $30. You do get the chest clip that has the capability to have some communication with the caregiver about what's going on with the child. So if you think that's a feature that would be useful to you, I would recommend going up to the $429 version. But otherwise, all the features between this guy and that guy are the same, with the exception of that one has the zip-out fabric, and this one's fabric is breathable, but it is not going to be the zip-out. So my biggest gripes with the last one that I showed was that it had a very strong position for the knees to sort of come up. It seems like that's been remedied on these guys. They're not super flat on the seat, but the legs don't seem like they would be raised up quite as high. And I have to say, this 360 Slim is probably one of the coolest options to come out for a skinny car seat in a long time. I also give, like I said, the seat a ton of props for the easy installation because the bigger component is not on the base while you're installing it. And remember, you will always use it with the base. It's not like this is going to come out with your kids sitting in it. It's not intended to be used that way. It's just meant for ease of installation that you're able to put the separated component piece on it. So, again, 15 adjustable positions, but we talked about the height. Here on these ones on the ends, it's only 14. Oh, but what I will say is kind of cool is they have this little rear and forward facing piece that you can use for the kids on the seat. It is meant to be sort of like a heel guard and sit so their feet have some support, a little bit more support on the leg. I think they've done a nice job of making the product a little bit more premium, understanding that the person who's purchasing in a $429 or $399 price point probably wants it a little bit nicer. But yeah, I really have to say I think that they've done an excellent job with these. I'm a really big fan of all three of them. And if you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Please feel free to hit like and subscribe. Check out my updated rotational car seat video, which is coming out in about 2 weeks. And then also feel free to check out my addendum of the narrow car seats, which again should be coming out in the next 2 weeks or so, and lots of new products coming out. So you'll just have a lot of videos dropping. So if you don't subscribe, now's a good time because you'll get first view of a lot of really cool stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, leave the comments below. Happy to answer them. All right, bye.